Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome to the Big Charles 100 subscriber special. Today I've got a kind of new type of video for the channel, trying out a bit of a more interaction driven format just to change things up and hopefully have an interesting time to celebrate this milestone for the channel. So, long story short, my latest video, entitled Invasions Are Supposed to Be Mean, has had by far the most divided feedback yet from those who watched it. Not so much on the channel. You guys have been nearly entirely positive, aside from a few maybe teasing remarks, which I don't mind at all, and I just appreciate the engagement. However, over on Reddit, there has been a fair little bit of criticism of the video. I know, who would have guessed? And yeah, I kind of want to dive into and dissect some of these comments just to, I don't know, see what's going on, reply publicly, because why not? But before we get too far into that, I have to say, I'm incredibly grateful and proud to have reached 100 subscribers in only a few months of uploads, and it means the world to me to see people enjoying and engaging with the content that I create. So thank you all so much, and if it's your first time here, this may be an oddball video to start with, but feel free to either pop over to the channel or stick it out on this one. If you like what you see, I'd really appreciate you pressing all the YouTube buttons for me. And yeah, man, thanks so much, you guys. Let's get moving into the subject matter, because we've got a good bit to dig into. So, first off, one may wonder, why bother making a 100 sub special? Like, it's just 100 subs, and I understand it's a fairly modest milestone. I don't want to give off the impression that I'm experiencing delusions of grandeur or anything. But mostly I think it's just a fun opportunity for me to try a bit of a different video format that I hope will be entertaining. And it's a chance for me to kind of talk about my headspace and how I feel the channel is functioning, as well as to engage with some feedback that I normally wouldn't want to squeeze into a more focused video. I don't often see YouTubers really take the time to peel back the veil and do this sort of meta self-analysis, digging into what makes the videos tick. And I thought it'd be cool to start with some of that, and that'll kind of contextualize the reaction/interaction content that I'm gonna follow it up with. I'm gonna use this video to serve two purposes, really. To chronicle and share the state of the channel at this milestone, as well as to assess and respond to the negative feedback I've received. And hopefully clear up some things about my style and method that are maybe causing some of this friction. Maybe they're less easy to pick up on for some viewers. So yeah, that's why. And I just want to be super clear regarding the reaction portion, the interaction portion. My intent here is not at all to be negative towards anyone who's been critical of me, or to be defensive or petty, but simply to entertain both you all and myself, as well as to hopefully offer some clarity regarding some of my opinions, thoughts, and feelings, and the ways I express them here, as well as to push back a bit on what I kind of see as either disingenuous or just non-functional, unuseful criticism. Now, I think it's important that we lay down some working parameters that will help us to assess the negative-leaning feedback we'll be looking at shortly. In my mind, negative feedback exists on a spectrum. That spectrum goes from crapping on something, kind of the lowest common denominator, very subjectively driven, I don't like it, period, sort of opinion. And that spectrum then goes all the way to the other side, where we find critique, which is really the Platonic ideal of criticism. Oxford defines critique as the act of evaluating a theory, practice, or work in a detailed and analytical way. To expand on this, my personal working definition of critique, i.e. useful feedback, is that the critic has made a genuine, good faith effort to engage with and understand what the work in question aims to accomplish, how well the work achieves its aims, and then engages with the meta implications of those aims. I know that was really dry, but I'll refer back to this periodically, and just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. And just one more thing that I'd like to cover before we get into the fun part. There are timestamps, by the way, if you just want to get to the drama. But I'd like to talk about my creative methodology and how it plays out in YouTube videos. So you may not know this about me, but I'm a bit of an artist. I play music, I do audio engineering and sound design, and obviously I write and edit videos. I've been practicing all of these crafts privately for varying but significant amounts of time now. And something I've always found myself drawn to in my creative process is a concept that I call holistic media. I aim to create works where all parts are experienced together as a whole. I aim to support the thesis of a video with the tone of the music chosen as well as the attitude in the voiceover script that I write. I'm still a novice at this particular medium, but I find ideally I want all of these potentially disparate elements to congeal into a cohesive and immersive whole. I want a video of mine to be more than the sum of its parts, and this often means that the further out of context something is taken, its readability and coherence is sacrificed. Strengthening the whole can sometimes weaken the parts. For example, this means that in my videos where I'm engaging in honorable duels with fellow Tarnished, I'll adopt a sportsmanlike and casual, relaxed demeanor that suits the activity. If I'm voicing over a series of increasingly frustrating or confusing invasions on a madness build, I'm likely to forgo the script entirely and ramble wildly over music that repeatedly shifts tone and atmosphere to evoke that holistic image of insanity. And this brings us to the main attraction and video in question. It's very important to understand that if I'm writing and producing a video endorsing invaders being mean, I'm more likely to say things that are mean and adopt a far edgier than normal persona. Let me be clear though. Obama moment. Let me be clear. These videos are all based in real things that I feel and think. And I'm not trying to deflect criticism by saying that it's just acting or anything like that. It's not. However, I will point out that many things I say and depict in a video, like invasions are supposed to be mean, are exaggerated and caricaturized in a self-aware and deliberate way, in service of the holistic media experience that I want the video to provide. I ultimately think that this strengthens the rhetoric and proves far more entertaining for me and hopefully you all. Okay, I think that's all the prep work, and we can finally get into these comments. For context, my good buddy and friend of the channel, Sonnenscheint, aka Sunny Jim, saw my video and asked if he could post it on r/badredman. Of course I said go for it, so that's how Reddit got a hold of this video in the first place, and it's in the comments of this post that we will find our would-be critics. So first, we've got user Nair1994, Magmamancer. He says, quote, "This dude is just smelling his own farts. This has so much obnoxious, get good energy without actually saying anything worth discussing." End quote. Thanks for writing in. This one genuinely gave me a giggle, as I was previously unaware of this turn of phrase, and it kind of took me by surprise. So I went and looked up what he meant exactly, and according to the ever-reliable Google AI overview, smelling your own farts means being overly self-absorbed or believing your own actions and opinions are more important than others. And honestly, it's kind of fair. I think in general, the act of creating YouTube videos based on your opinions necessitates prioritizing and getting absorbed in those opinions to some extent, so that you can parse out the most effective, convincing, and interesting ways to express them. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm doing, even if this isn't the most flattering way to put it. I wonder if it'd be more palatable to a viewer like Nair if I more frequently reminded them that I'm simply stating my opinion, and that it's just my opinion, and I'm not telling anyone that their opinion is wrong. I already do this a fair amount, and honestly, I hate it from an aesthetic and rhetorical perspective, as well as finding it a little intellectually disrespectful to the viewer. Like, we all know how opinions work, right? I don't know. Let's just move forward, close this one out. This has so much obnoxious get good energy without actually saying anything worth discussing. I mean, are you not here discussing? And two, I'm not really sure I meant to give off get good energy, though maybe it's just a natural byproduct of playing and talking about these games for a very long time. And I'm almost positive that my more holistic approach to script writing led him to feel this way. 'Cause yeah, I wrote the voiceover to support the mean-spirited RP that I'm encouraging rhetorically throughout. Though really, I feel I focused heavily on the game's design and the intention behind invasions as a mechanic, as well as players' attitude and mentality when engaging or not with said design. So I'm not really sure where this could be coming from, other than maybe just the general vibe of the script and music being kind of ridiculously edgy and villainous. I'm not sure, and I think this comment falls really short of understanding what the video is trying to be and doesn't really engage with what I'm saying at any meaningful level. Thanks again for writing in though, Nair. Below Nair replies based Chasmond. I thought it was kind of funny, quote unquote. Honestly, that's all the success I could ever hope for. Thanks, Chasmond. Next, we see Land Whale Dweller, which is definitely a username you could choose to make. He writes, quote, I mean, sending hosts back to the bonfire is our job, so it is inherently mean, but so is the entire game. End quote. And like, yeah, man. The tone of this comment is kind of weird to me because I feel like this is basically the too long didn't watch of the video it's responding to. But he says it in a way that makes it sound like he's challenging the arguments of the video. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe he just read the title and wrote a comment. Either way, like, yes, you're right. And thank you for writing in, land whale dweller. Tipper Gore 69 comments, quote, as a red man hater, I agree with his thesis. It's mean and I get mad. That's the point. Unquote. Not too much to assess here really, but I'm glad you can at least agree that it was designed to be this way, and I'm glad to hear there's red men out there doing their jobs. Thanks for writing in, Tipper. Skipping over the next two for a sec, because we'll likely spend the longest on them, and we'll just quickly reply to Chunt here, who writes, quote, IDK, I couldn't get past the first sentence without closing the video, so I have no comment, unquote. Thanks for writing in. Two things. One, you do have a comment. This is it, you're commenting. And second, it's really sad to see that you got filtered by the phrase, low-key, I'm a quirked up white boy. That sentence was your personal tree sentinel. That's crazy, man. Now, here is a doozy, boys. Strap in. Oh yeah. Strong words, Dream Thievin'. Thank you for writing in. Let's go through this piece by piece, huh? Calls me an edgelord, which is definitely fair and deserved for the script I wrote. But I kind of think he just thinks that's how I am, like all the time, which is not correct and definitely a little unfortunate. And this claim that I'm whining about people, quote unquote, having manners. Also, the again at the end of this sentence kind of makes me suspect he watched maybe the first 2 minutes to the point where I mention etiquette for the one and only time in the entire 28-minute video. And the pattern recognition in his mind just kicked in and instantly lumped me in with people he perceives to be quote-unquote anti-manners in the Souls community. Which, like, is that even really a thing? I don't know. But I don't have a problem with people having manners. It's fine. I maybe should have developed the idea more in the script. After mentioning etiquette, it was kind of a one-off. But etiquette's fine. The point really was that it's also fine to be mean, and the game kind of encourages not having manners. And so I don't think we should frown on that. But you can have manners. I don't care. I might even bow back. Moving on, though. Quote, I've noticed a lot of people like him get absolutely livid when other people choose to live and play the way they like. I don't get why some Souls fans are so deeply offended and angered by this, unquote. Here, quote, a lot of people like him, unquote, kind of feels like a weak and passive stand-in for what I think he's really getting at, which would be more directly stated as people like I'm assuming he is. Because let's be real, there's no attempt to engage with or understand my argument here, or it wouldn't be possible to come to this conclusion. I definitely don't feel offended, angry, or livid at people playing the way they like. In fact, I break character to reinforce that fact several times throughout the script. And it certainly doesn't extend to my real-world interactions or politics. That's an insanely bold leap to make, that I am offended by people living the way they like. especially considering I covered this exact base at several points throughout my argument in the video, and make a real effort to differentiate my in-game behavior and feelings from my real-life morality. Unfortunately, I do feel that may have been lost on Dreamthievin, who then goes on, quote, "They often say, I don't want to play like that, and just ignore anyone saying, you don't have to, but other people can play how they like," unquote. Do I often say this? Did I even mention once feeling like someone else wanted me to play a certain way or my desire not to? I don't think so. The entire video is really about how I do like to play and think about these games. And I'm encouraging others to adopt a similar mindset. Yeah, but you don't have to. This is how opinions work. It's up to you to interpret and decide how, if at all, to act on the points I present. And the real overarching message is that no matter what you do, no matter what you think, as long as the servers are online, there will be a bad red man, because it's literally designed to be that way. And I think that's pretty inarguable. We finish strong with, quote, "This is exactly the same type of logic that co-opers that hate on invaders have, and it's pretty silly coming from red men of all people," unquote. Actually, it's the exact opposite logic, which you would know if you'd watched and understood the fundamental argument I'm making. Co-opers truly, quote-unquote, hating on invaders often come from a place of wishing the game were different. Not always, and not regarding co-opers that simply regard invaders with ire in-game, which is completely justified, but co-opers that complain about interruptions of their session and so on and so forth. This comes from a place of misunderstanding the game and its design philosophy, where the inverse opinion of invasions are supposed to be mean differs, is that it is an opinion born of a genuine attempt to understand and engage with what the game wants from its players. There's room for discussion as to whether my interpretation is correct, but I'm arguing from a perspective of appreciation, where I'm looking at the mechanic of invasions as it is, with no deliberate attempt to inject external logic or personal feelings into it. Thanks for writing in though, Dreamthievin. And we can see Kan Ka No Rei replies, quote, "The worst hosts and worst invaders deserve each other. Shame the whole invasion feature has always been bogged down by their miasma," unquote. I kind of agree with this first part. I definitely do deserve a mean host here and there, and I like to think I'm the type of invader who brings the mean hosts what they deserve. But we differ on this second sentiment. The invasion feature would essentially be the world's least efficient matchmaking lobby if you remove the random acts of cruelty, kindness, and general uncertainty of the other player's motives. That spectrum of experience and that uncertainty doesn't exist without the meanest of the mean. So I don't think it bogs it down, but hey, I appreciate you writing in. Alright, fellas. That's all the comments on the Reddit post. I kinda wanted to talk about some Demon's Souls remake haters, but maybe that'll be its own thing. Maybe not. I've had enough talking about it. So I hope this was entertaining and insightful, or funny at least. If not, if you think this is insufferable, please do tell me, because I'm just kind of trying to gauge how the audience will react to different types of videos, and your feedback matters to me. I want this stuff to be good for you guys as well as for me. So yeah, sound off in the comments. Let me know if you enjoy this sort of thing or if you'd prefer me to stay focused on the games. And keep it in perspective, y'all. I just want to say none of this is that serious. I feel no ill will towards any of the fine Redditors featured in this video. No matter how bad I think their comments are, it all comes down to this just being something I wanted to try doing. Thought it'd be fun and entertaining, and well, it was for me at least. Let me know what you think. But just remember, don't be weird. It's fine to post a bad opinion on the internet. I mean, I might be doing that every time I upload a video. I'm self-aware enough to know that, and brave enough to continue anyway, and I challenge you to be the same. Thanks everybody for the 100 subs. Let's keep that ball rolling, and I'll see you next time. Later, y'all.